All right. The day is here, boys.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
The Combat Lab begins. Episode 1. Icons launch hype.
We're here.
We're here.
We're
It's
s- we're here after months. Months.
months, years for some of us. It's been a long time coming.
It might as
Uh,
well have been years.
so, launch tomorrow, 12 p.m. Pacific time, roughly. Be sure to check your Steam when the game drops. I'm sure most of you are aware of that. Um, but let's just get right into it. Let's talk a little bit about Icons. If you guys have not played Icons Combat Arena before, if you've found this through the Twitter, if you've seen minimal gameplay, uh, Icons Combat Arena is a new platform fighter made by Wave Dash Games. They've been working on this for a long time. They've had a lot of passion for platform fighters in the industry. And they wanted to make a game for the community focused on the most important aspects: online play, competition, speed, control, being able to express yourself as a player. All these things are checked off on the list. And I think we all would agree that this game is actually amazing. And we're very excited to see where it comes. And that's kind of why this whole even show came together. Do you guys have anything you want to add on Icons as a whole?
Yo,
Actually, wait.
welcome to
I'm
the
sorry.
Combat Lab.
I'm a bad host. Give me a break. It's episode 1. My name's Shakes. You may know me from my stream on Icons, obviously. And two of our top 10 power ranked players in the community. First off, we got the Icon Man himself up here, WonderBop, if you want to say hi.
Oh, hello. Yes. Hello. Sorry, I was looking. uh, what's up, everybody? Icon Man. You guys see the green screen? I think this is the first time that this is actually how this is it.
Get to see behind the scenes a little bit today.
It's
But
nice.
really, we should be talking about the man himself up next, Mr. Arikie.
Oh, hey. I'm Arikie, and or Arikai. Either is fine. And I've been playing the so-called video games for a while now, and a friend of mine invited me to try out Icons away a few months ago, and ever since then, it has been it's just a giant pleasure. I've loved every second of it.
Absolutely.
It's
And
like,
Icons, we're
yeah.
we're here. Like Icons going forward, it's been a few months of NDA. When did y'all start playing? Actually, I think you've been playing for a long time, right, Shay?
Yeah, so the first time I actually got my hands on the game was at CEO 2017. And luckily, I was able to meet Jason behind the scenes. I was working with VG Bootcamp at the time. And he kind of talked to me about the game, hooked me up with a super early playtest in the next morning. Um, and I got my hands on it then. And then since that, I was in the first wave after Friends and Family on closed beta, way before the NDA was lifted. And I've been playing ever since. Anytime I can get my hands on the game, I've been playing it. But yeah, that's kind of how long I've been around. How about you guys?
I had it a little bit a month prior to the NDA being lifted, and after the first time I tried it, I was pretty much like every single minute I could suck out of the available play times, I got them minus like maybe once or twice when I had other obligations. But as much as I could, I like dove right into this game.
I got into the closed beta after like I tweeted like once a day, like I want to be in the Icons beta for like a month and a half, and then I finally got in, and I did like 4 playtests and didn't play again for like 4 months. It's actually like really yikes. But then when the NDA was getting lifted, that's when like the week before NDA lifted was when I was like, actually, let's try this again. And then I realized that the game's so freaking sick, and I was just playing it entirely wrong the first time I played it around. Um, and now I'm the Icon Man you see here today. But ultimately, it's crazy in going from like starting to play, playing for the first time in like late January, early February. It was the Alfie and Galu release that I like started playing, and then comparing it to like even comparing it to now, right? Comparing it to just this past week, it's pretty staggering how different the game is and how far the game has come since then.
Very, very different. I remember the first time I even saw Zurong, she had maybe like a third of her kit in the game at that point. And here we are with
Wow.
Wei Shan in the game and character number 8 on the horizon, I'm sure. So
Honestly, Zoo only needs
It-
three things in her kit anyway. I don't know, the rest is a little
Well-
much, don't you think?
I just have been a huge fan of the improvement in the art and the animation since pre-NDA got lifted. Like just counting it up over the weeks, I've noticed a dramatic improvement. It's very, very clear. Like things are much smoother. Like it seems with every update, and I can see the love that goes into the little details of this game. You know, even though as it's still being finished.
You know, the going off of that, like just the quick shout outs to Wave Dash. I mean, I'm sure that like that's a all right. Everyone says shout outs to Wave Dash like every day, but like in all seriousness, like let's go over real quick like what we've gotten in the last 4 months. We've gotten overhauled like animations and rigs for what Zana, Kid, Raymer,
I believe Ashani got some.
Shawnee got stuff. Did Kid get anything?
I believe
don't
he
remember
changed
if he got
slightly,
something.
but it wasn't
He
anything
got like some
drastic.
things, but we got the new character, new stage. We got 2 new OSTs. We've gotten the gallery. We've gotten continual, net play improvements. And we talk about like how the server had bad days, but let's be honest, like bad days for the continuously growing Icon server is better than the best day of so many other games.
Yeah. Like even at the baseline, even at its worst, Icons is like super buttery. Like even earlier on when they're still like, okay, netcode, it was like, wow, this is amazing. And like it's only gotten better from there, which is incredibly impressive, at least to me.
Right. And in my experience personally, I've had obviously a couple of games that weren't the best connection, but I would say, no exaggeration, 95% plus of my matches have been almost like LAN, playing on the same setup. I've been playing matches against the Wave Dash staff. I played against Jason, Strong Bad, and it's a perfectly good connection. Like, zero complaints. Like, that's not an exaggeration. And I think they've done a killer job, and I think that's something that anyone who hasn't played the game that's interested, that's a huge deal. There's a lot of games out there that are fantastic titles that just don't have the best netcode, and that can really hinder how much you stick with the game. So the fact that they nailed it with Icons is just super exciting, honestly.
It's frankly incredible that I can play somebody in the same region as me, Northern California, and then like go from that and immediately jump into a game with like someone who's on the East Coast and they have like a router that is a little old and get, like even from those two extremes get like a mostly acceptable online match. Like wow, that's insane to me.
Yeah.
It's mind blowing.
Yeah, and I mean it all stems I think from like, and when we say like shout outs to the Wave Dash staff, like it all means like it's because their priorities are in just a great place all the time. I feel like because there's a lot of things that a lot of people still want from Icons, right? Whatever. Like we all, if we wanted, the game's entering early access tomorrow. If we had a list of things that like we wanted in the game or that we like almost, I don't want to say expect, but like the things that like we are hopeful will be in the game when the game launches in like, 9 to 12 months or whatever. Like that list is crazy long. Like we all get it. But that said, they've focused on the things that really matter the most. I think us getting the gallery set up, right? Getting the gallery came out fantastic.
Yeah.
Do you guys, about to say, is that just me? Like I actually
I'm a
love,
huge fan of the gallery.
I
Okay, like the minute
there's
that
so much.
there's a ton of stuff. First of all, it was like day one of the gallery. I was expecting like kind of like a demo, like this is
Yeah.
what the gallery will look like when it has stuff in it, and here's a couple examples. But like
Yeah.
day one of the gallery was like all these sprays, which by the way they're called hollows in Icons, but they're like sprays. Custom taunts, voice lines, ending like at post game like animations your character can do, but for everybody, and then some like non-character specific ones, and they're all like awesome.
Like it's it is exactly like you said. Actually, we're testing out the gallery this week. I'm sure I wasn't the only one who thought this. All of us were like, I'm gonna play for like 12 hours and I'm gonna buy every damn thing in that gallery. That's what we all thought.
Yeah.
But then it became very quickly. It was like, oh my god, like it would
It's
take
too much.
forever to buy everything here. Not because the system doesn't give you money, because it's just so much stuff.
And
You never run out of options. It's actually so fucking
Like one
so
character
cool.
has like 8 or 9 skins or something, and
Yeah.
some of those skins are like they're not just recolors; they're like full on like costumes changes. They're amazing.
And it's honestly impressive, even the quality of the lowest tier of every category of cosmetic in the gallery is too. Like some of the, like I know for Weishan, one of his like 75 Spectra skins was one of my favorites that he has like in his entire kit. And like same thing goes with the holograms and icons and all this stuff. Like across the board there's interesting stuff, which is really important. It'd be a real bummer to only see like, oh, of course the top tiers are really cool, but you're gonna get a bunch of commons that you're never gonna look at. Like it's actually really cool to see that stuff, and it's gonna make opening portal packs that much more interesting.
I absolutely, yeah. Like I only use in my kit, my default whatever. I only use like a couple of like the legendary or the iconic ones, right? Like because there's a lot of good stuff that's like not expensive. It's very nice. It's very nice.
Yeah,
I'm a fan.
And I recently remapped my Smashbox so I can get 4 taunts, hollows, or voice lines now, which is
Nice.
great. I only had 2
Buffing
for a
yourself?
bit. Yep, a huge buff, honestly. My gameplay is going to improve dramatically next week, so or
I'll tell
tomorrow.
you what, if you guys haven't invested in the Gifkin Thonk thinking emoji,
Yep.
like you're missing out, dude. Like everyone has to throw that up there occasionally.
I feel like I'm the only person on the planet who has not only have I not used it, but it's like I haven't even considered. Like it's like I don't know. I have the Ashani shrug, and
That's a
that's
good
like I use the shrug
That's pretty
for the
good.
same
That's
reason.
pretty good. The Ashani shrug is pretty good, actually.
Okay, but real quick, if you guys or anybody uses the pineapple pizza like hologram,
boy.
like I
No.
will
Careful. He's
I will
on the
fight
hunt.
you in game. You are getting not a single player has done that to me.
I know what I'm
Well,
doing next time I run into you.
Like 90% of the players who like use that hologram against me get EMP punched like within a minute. Absolutely. Like it's
And
It's a prime directive, dude. A holy mission.
I think we need to give a special shout out to the greatest piece of art that has come from the Wave Dash team,
Oh no.
Edgehog.
I knew it was coming.
When I saw Edgehog, I looked at it and I was like, what is this thing? And then it clicked and it just, the heavens lit up
Edgehog.
above me and I was like, yes.
Edgehog was great. And you know, and the a lot of the stuff that was in for the people in the Icons Discord, a lot of the emotes in the Discord going into the actual game, like the Zurong laugh being in the game is fantastic. That's my
Excellent.
profile
High
picture.
value.
So
That's exactly very good word for it. Very high value. Like
so since I was such a good boy and played the game at CEO last year, I got a Christmas card from the Wave Dash team over the holidays, which included some stickers. And
Mr. Hotshot over here, jeez.
this sticker that I've been holding on to is a hologram in the game. As soon as I made that connection, I was like, oh, wow, this is sick. And this is going on my Smashbox later. Since I've sadly turned the tide and am no longer an Ashani main, I'm going to have to adjust that later. So
What's cool about that is because those ones get like, you know, they have like stories. Not, I don't want to say, okay, stories is not stories, but they have like, at least for those of us who have kind of been in the community for a little bit and like, you know, we've been talking and like, you know, participating outside of the playtests, like a lot of the stuff in the game right now is, you know, it has meaning to us because we've seen it before and we've seen it in funny ways. We've seen it in like ironic ways. Things like the zoo laugh, things like, well, I mean, the pineapple pizza hurts me in a different way, but like, you know, the Edgehog, like there's a lot of the, what they did, you know, don't get grabbed with Zana is like a broader scale of that where like, you know, if don't get grabbed is hilarious if you've played like Smash Melee competitively, right?
mm-hmm.
If you've played
Of
Smash
course.
Melee, don't get grabbed is so ironic and
Yeah.
so funny, and I think that kind of like detail is are either that or the scale of how much we got is just so impressive for just the debut of the gallery.
Real quick, I actually saw someone in the chat, Hydro PC, asking what a Smashbox is, and this is going to cover two things real quick. So I'll show the Smashbox, which is this beautiful work of art. This is an alternative controller, and
and you put your sticker on
I
it.
got the sticker on. This will soon be Raymer in the middle, but beautiful controller. Allows for a lot of increased consistency, so on and so forth. But that leads me to a very important aspect of icons that a lot of players from other types of games may be interested in. Icons took the mentality of, if it's a controller, you can use it in icons. Almost completely accurate. Like fight sticks, keyboard, GameCube controller, Xbox controller, PS4, anything. Smashbox obviously included in that. There are so many options. If you are interested in this game and you don't want to be playing on a GameCube controller, you're worried about whether the production will get cut off, whatever it may be, you have your options, which is really cool. And especially like FGC guys, if you're out there, like if you can use a fight stick in a platform fighter, I imagine that's got to be like a really cool idea. So
That
I
is.
am a huge fan of the controller flexibility. As somebody who likes to experiment with lots of different controllers and is just very, very off-put from the GameCube controller after all these years. I enjoy the Xbox One controller immensely, and it feels great with icons.
yeah, for sure. I actually played Rivals with an Xbox controller, and I thought about doing that going into icons, but obviously Smashbox was the route I took. So
I was tempted to do PS4 controller because I play Rivals with the PS4 controller because I had trouble with the GameCube drivers or to get that working on Rivals.
mm-hmm.
But no, I mean, what can I possibly disagree with about all of this? Real quick, I want to like just get to the elephant in the room. Talking about closed beta, we can't not talk about how sick the way Sean drop was, right?
Yeah.
Because like we're all biased about Wei Shan now, right? We're all everyone who plays particular opinions, whether for or whatever, regardless of what they are, we all have thoughts on Wei Shan, but no one can deny that Wei Shan is the highest quality drop. Like the animations were fantastic, the sound effects were amazing, the VFX, whenever he hits you and that giant green X just appears on your character, it's so well
It's
done.
powerful. It's terrifying.
And the stage, Forbidden Shrine, looks amazing, and the music on Forbidden Shrine is actually like, something that like a lot of games I think struggle with is like you have a soundtrack and it's not bad, but because it's not very focused on melodies, it kind of like gets lost in like the hundreds of other good tracks that exist. Forbidden Shrine gets stuck in my head all the time. Maybe that's just me, but like I feel like Forbidden Shrine and Wei Shan, that whole like content drop was just in terms of like quality, the quality of stuff we got. Well, was so good.
And I will say too, the Wave Dash staff has done a great job providing characters that both feel familiar, but like there's no clone in this game. Period. There's no clone. And even while there's some characters that are going to be familiar to some stuff, like a Melee Martha or a Melee Fox, Melee Fox specifically is going to be way different, but also way similar.
You can't.
I just think they've done a great job in seeing Wei Shan drop and be this whole unique character that I haven't seen before. As soon as I was playing him, I felt something new that I haven't played in a Smash game before, or any platform fighter for that matter.
That's how I felt about Icons. Is like I went into it and I tried all the characters. That's the first thing you do whenever you play a new fighting game, right? You try all the characters, and I'm like, these are like 90% of this stuff, or like maybe 80% really, like is pretty interesting and new to me. Like, okay, that's how that is, and that's how this is. It'll be fun to see how that grows into a meta and expands, and it's like its own. A lot of things have its own identity that is pretty new.
Icons did a great job of taking, I don't even want to say familiar like character designs or archetypes or anything. I just want to say like familiar concepts and really just doing them in a way. Like Wei Shan's range is just a great example. The fact that Wei Shan's forward strike in general and down special, actually, Wei Shan as a whole is a character that makes sense. Like if somebody said like, oh, he's a slow, long-range character that has like a godlike punish game, but also like eats combos for breakfast, right? Like he just takes it. Like, you know, if you said that to somebody, like that, okay, like that makes sense.
Right.
That's King DDD. but like when you look at Wei Shan in how his coverage, how his zoning works with neutral special, with how his his method of taking space works, it's something that's really not been done.
Right.
It hasn't. It just, if you look at like Ashani, or actually, you look at Kid. If you play Fox and you just try to play Kid like you play Fox, you're in
Yeah.
for a bad time.
Yeah,
As a
definitely
Fox
different.
main,
It's
every Fox main that I know who has played Kid, like
It's different.
they end up not liking Kid because they're like, I try to play him like Fox and he doesn't work like Fox because he's not Fox. He's completely different from Fox.
Yep, definitely. And even characters like Zana, when's the last time you saw a command grab in a platform fighter? And I think there might be one in Rivals, but for the most part, that is
Zana,
rare.
There are a couple, but Zana is and this is a hot Wonder opinion. I think Zana is like probably the coolest character in Icons and one of the coolest designs to come out of the genre ever. Zana, they did such a good job because the thing about grapplers, I don't know about you guys, I hate playing against Zangief. Like I hate it. I hate. And in Project M, I hate playing against Bowser. I hate no one's like, yes, I'm playing against a Ganondorf. Like no one's happy to play against
I'm
like
the same way. But when it comes to heavies and grapplers and all that stuff, I'm definitely like, why though? But Zana is cool. The wrestling aesthetic really hits home, and it scores high for me. It's cool.
Her, Zana's side special is, I think, maybe the most well balanced and well executed command grabs in the genre. And I think Zana's game plan in like how that complements side special is also just amazing. I love Zana. I'm the best Zana in the world. Never forget it. I've beaten Liberation in the Ditto. It's over, guys.
So
that's all you need to do.
We actually have an interesting development here. I don't know if you guys saw in the chat. It looks like the patch notes for tomorrow just dropped.
All right, well, we got to do it.
Read over that right now.
Yeah,
we got to do it, right?
Give me a second here to set up, but we will definitely go over that right now, 100%. Just give me a quick second here.
Goodness.
Apologies, I did everything I could to prepare for everything, and sure enough.
Wow, we were so ready for everything. Thanks, Wave Dash.
Adaptation comes in hot.
Yeah,
we figured out on the fly.
100%. I can do that. But do you guys want to start off actually talking about a little bit of a certain ranking that dropped?
Yeah, let's do that first, actually, because before we get into the future, let's get into the here and now.
All right, let's see. Let's take a look at that real quick.
Ooh,
look at that.
Nice.
That graphic. Dude,
By the way,
big shout outs to Liberation.
Huge shout out to Liberation, who has some experience making power rankings in the past, and they just totally out of their own thing, they volunteered to put this together for us, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
So just to give some context to this ranking, because I'm sure Shakes is setting things up. He's going to be busy for a minute. So this ranking was made because we had, it was in the kind of an idea for a long time. The Wonder Games, HiCons, Libverse, we've had a good chunk of tournaments in the last 2 months. And so we got together. It was 4 panelists, me, Arikie, Liberation, and Hylian. And then Juanpi ended up helping out with his opinions towards the end. We got together and we wanted to make like not a preseason, right? This is like a season 0. Nothing
zero power ranking.
Obviously, this is just based on the tournaments, right? Because there's a lot of people on Quick Match. MMR is not public, and there are players in very high MMR who don't do that well in tournament, and there are players at very low MMRs that do very well in tournament. So it's one of those things that we just stuck with the data that we had available. Arikie, if you want to get started, let's
just go off on the like a rap sheet, First, we had This was actually the most difficult part of the PR was
Yes.
deciding who came first, was between Mr. Mime and Ulci, and we had a four-way division on this that was
Yep.
like cut perfectly in half. So we brought in Juan P as a tiebreaker.
Yep. We were talking before. You know, I had asked like Liberation, Highland, Erica, I was like, this thing, and they were like, "Well, what happens if we have a tie?" And I was like, "Do you really think we're gonna have a tie?" And they're like, "Yeah, I guess
It's unlikely, and then
we tie." But Mr. Mime and Ulci, they both had crazy seasons. Ulci has won the most tournaments. He's won 3 events, more than any other player. Ulci is the guy to beat. If you have wins on Ulci, that went a very long way in your ranking because Ulci did not lose that often to people below him. I was one of the people who initially voted Mime. Erica, you voted Ulci first, I want to say.
I
But,
think I did that because Ulci was in more events. So
Yeah.
in my mind he was like more consistent.
Yeah,
But I changed my opinion later on.
ultimately what set Mr. Mime past Ulci for me and for Hylian as well, and for Juanpi was that the Mr. Mime won 2 of the top 3. The final 3 tournaments of the season were all miles bigger than the ones before them, and Mr. Mime won 2 of them. One of them over Ulci with like a 6-1 in winners and grands. Mr. Mime just kind of showed up at the bigger tournaments, whereas Ulci won more, but Mr. Mime won 2 of the top 3 biggest. Then he got second at the third biggest, or he won the biggest tournament. He won the 3rd biggest tournament, and he got second at the 2nd biggest tournament, which kind of put him above Ulci. But going to Ulci number 2, like Ulci's a monster. Ulci's a monster. Yeah. Mr. Mime is the only player that I think you can even reasonably bet on against Ulci, right? You can bet J-Fist, Liberation, Highland. You can have all these.
Yeah,
but if you're a betting man, you bet on Ulci. On Mr. Mime's the only case where maybe you don't. But even that, like,
yeah, in my mind, there's a little bit of a divide, right around this number 2, number 3 spot, but compared to everybody else, where like I think that people, 3 through 10-ish. Can potentially go back and forth with J-Fist losing very rarely, but like the top 2 are going to have a humongous advantage.
Yeah. I mean, and going to number 3 with J-Fist had he only entered 3 tournaments. J-Fist, maybe we're wrong. Maybe J-Fist is one of the only players to actually have taken a set from Mime. J-Fist is amazing. I don't think anyone here needs to justify. Is J-Fist good?
Shout out to J-Fist at Even Bigger Bout, by the way, with a great performance.
Oh yeah, 13th at Even Bigger Bout in PM.
Biggest PM tourney of all time.
PM tourney. J-Fist is a multi-game threat.
Yeah, very impressive. But
ultimately, he just didn't have that many tournaments. So even though he won first, which was the 2nd largest Icons tournament of closed beta.
And 45 players.
Yeah, 45 players. He and that's a huge win. He won that after Mime, actually. But at the end of the day, it was just like Ulci's 3 tournament wins, Mime's 2 tournament wins. J-Fist does very well when he does enter. He only entered a couple times, so. And then Liberation. Liberation tied with the most tournaments entered, I want to say. He had like 7 tournaments entered.
I believe so, yeah.
He won the winner of the very first Wonder Games. Yeah, tied with Ulci. Winner of the very first Wonder Games. Liberation has amazing win rates across the board. I mean, I feel like with Liberation, if we're talking like kind of how you said there was like a gap between 2 and 3. I feel like it's one of those things where Mime, Ulci were obviously the top 2. J-Fist was like pretty clearly behind them, and then Liberation is like, he's amazing. Liberation is amazing results across the board. He's taken sets from J-Fist. He's one of the only players to have taken sets from Ulci as well, where he's even. in sets with Ulsi right now. Whereas he has amazing wins on everyone else in the PR as well, right? Like he has great wins. Azred, I think Cicero is like the only. I think he has wins on Cicero, just not that many. I think is the one. That's like the one thing that like kind of separates him from Mime, Ulsi, J-Fist.
And quick interjection here. I'm seeing a lot of people in the chat asking about the announcement. The announcement is not related to the patch notes. We had no idea patch notes were dropping. We'll get to that right after this. So
It is separate.
there is something else.
We were too about the patch notes.
Which this is a good thing. We got extra stuff to talk about. We got a lot of exciting stuff happening. So
let's move on to Hylian.
Hylian, okay. Hylian and Cicero, if you want to talk about that, that was like, because this was another tough one.
Is a demonstration of pushing, in my opinion, just a little bit of an underexplored or possibly undertuned character to their limit. Like it's always, every single time I fought Hylian in a tournament or in quick play or saw streaming just like week to week to week, it was like, wow, that's different, and it's like even more creative this time. It was like playing another level of the game each time. He became more interesting the more he played, and I think that that says a lot about him as a player, and it says a lot about Afi and Galu as a character.
Hylian, I think, and I've said this forever now. I think Hylian is one of the most demonstratively amazing players at Icons. Like when Hylian plays, if you watch him play, you can tell just by he's one of those players you don't need to see results to like see why he's good. You can just play him or like watch him play, and like his movement, his ground game is insane. It's so insanely good, and it's weird that he plays Afi and Galu when his ground game is like he has that he has that kind of foundation in the ground game. But I mean, at the end of the day, Hylian also is an example of the rise to fame. Because let's not forget that as great as Hylian is, he did have very humble beginnings. In fact, I believe that the people who put Hylian into the last place finishing of the Wonder Games 1 are both in this podcast right now. The Wonder Games 1 was not a seeded event because we had no data, so we did random seeding.
Random seeding.
Arikie and I... You brought it to him. Hylian went 0-2 at the Wonder Games 1 and then got a first place finish over Ulsi at the Wonder Games 3. The truest 0 to 100.
We can make all the jokes we want, like, remember that time Hylian went 0-2, but right, the last time we played, he did beat me, and that tournament, that was the most intense and difficult round 1 I've had in a game in an extremely long time.
Oh my god.
Like, oh my goodness.
Hylian, and I jest. I will never, right, I got to. There's Hylian going 0-2 is too funny to not talk about. But like at the end of the day, I stand by what I said earlier, where like Hylian is so obviously incredible, and like when he's on, he's one of the only. He's one of the only to like convincingly beat like some of these other insane, right? Like Hylian's godlike, guys.
I would like to see just my own entertainment what it would look like for Hylian to play another character a little bit.
Zurong's getting
Zurong, yeah. Zurong's very good.
That's true.
But talking about Hylian on this ranking, though, you can't not talk about Cicero. And Hylian, this was a very difficult one to rank.
I think this was another one of those points. It wasn't as much of a tie hold as Mr. Mime and Ulsi, but it was definitely a source of discussion.
This was one of the ones we had to talk about because Cicero actually has the better data than Hylian in a lot of ways. Cicero has 4 top 3 finishes. He has like 3, maybe it's 3, but he has 3 or 4 top 3 finishes. Cicero has wins, a positive record on Liberation, wins on Hylian, wins on everyone below him. Cicero has like great data, but the one thing that Hylian has that Cicero doesn't have is that Hylian won a tournament, right? Hylian won a tournament over Ulsi, no less. And the one thing holding back Cicero was that Cicero hadn't won a tournament and also had a really bad record to Olsey. Granted, that record to Olsey came from Cicero getting top 3 at all the same tournaments that Olsey got top 3 at. So it's like, you know, I'm not gonna say
having a losing record versus Olsey is not a bad record.
he played Olsey. Yeah. And Cicero playing Olsey that happened more than like any other set. Cicero Olsey was kind of like a regular thing. They played 6 times in 8 tournaments, which I think Olsey entered 7. So out of the 7 tournaments, I don't even know how many entered, but of the tournaments that they both entered, they played 6 times, which is crazy.
Hylian entered 6 events. Cicero entered 7. That means that every single time Hylian entered an event, he played Cicero.
Hylian or Olsey?
Hold on, I got that confused.
Was it how many did Cicero?
I got them confused. It's Cicero entered 7 events and Olsey entered 7 events.
Cicero played 1. They each played 1 tournament where they did not play each other, but every other tournament that they entered, they played each other. It was really. Oof. Cicero's amazing. This was one of those, like, if you valued data, just raw data over the tournament win, then there's a strong argument for Cicero being number 5. But at the end of the day, we all just kind of agreed that Hylian won where it counted, which is grand finals. And unfortunately, like, you know, if you get great placings but you don't ever win, then it's kind of hard to put you over somebody who does.
Yep.
And then there's another gap after 6. After 6, I think well, if you want to talk about it, the next player.
Azred is a very strong
so
player. He came into the beta a little later, more than the other people here on this PR. So it's kind of like Azred came into the scene and then like, wow, there's a really good Raymer on quick play and entering these events, and I get to see it, and because he's a streamer and I get to play him a few times, and I'm like, well, geez, now the pressure is on to get good, like with the quickness.
Yeah, Azred really kind of, he feels like the kind of like the guy you love to cheer for in a lot of ways, if that's how, you know, where it's like one of those, like, he just appears, no history, comes in with his freaking cowboy hat. No, he doesn't wear the cowboy shoe, never mind. But either way, Azred, he's very smart.
6 events, and he has top 8'd 5 times.
And the only time he didn't top 8 was the time that we had crazy upsets. We had Flighty, I think, over Azred, and was it Riddell over Liberation? There was a tournament where Hylian, and I think it was either Hylian Azred or Liberation Azred, they had to play for 13th or for 9th even. Like, jeez. It was so silly. Like, it was like tournament where we had 3 top 10 players all in losers before top 8. And Azred's saying in chat, like, Liberation and Azred played stupidly early in losers, and then that's the only reason that Azred didn't get top 8.
I'm looking at that bracket now. It looks like he had a close set with that Flighty guy, and then he played Liberation later on in losers.
Yo, also, quick clarification. It is pronounced Azred. I used to say AJ Red. It is Azred.
I'm glad I got it right by coincidence.
But Azred's incredible. And I think he ended it with a 3rd place finishing at the Wonder Games 6. How did he get to the Wonder Games 6 3rd place? Well, he beat number 8 on our ranking. Oh, I'm so mad I lost that set. Oh, that was such a good set, but I'm also real. Game 5 was a good set, but it
went to Game 5. Was it like last hit?
No, not last hit. I think it 2-stocked me Game 5, but it was a good set. So you and I guess this is gonna be weird for us to talk about. Like,
you know what? We'll do our best to not be biased in our own performance as competitors.
Right, but you and I were also kind of a point of, you know, depending on what you valued, you know, you could put you over me. at the end of the day, I had better wins than you overall. I have wins on. Am I gonna say it? Am I about to make the meme? Is the meme gonna live on? The meme dies. But I am the only player. By the way, guys, I'm the only player with a positive win rate on Mr. Mime. Just saying.
Show me the way, dude. We actually,
Dude,
I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one that wants to know. What is the trick?
I don't know.
What is
do
the
you know
method here?
Do you want to know the worst part? This is a part of the meme that never gets said. It wasn't even hard.
What?
Like he must have been. He must have been.
no.
He was not playing that well, or I was playing on fire. I was also having a great run. I played Dr. Drew right beforehand, so I had
that's a
other
good
good
warm-up.
Wayshawn prep beforehand, and I just went in, and I was either Mime was either feeling it or like not feeling it, or I was feeling it super well. But either way, I also played Handor, and I had 2 Wayshawn before Mime, so I was ready for it. But either way,
The other factor is that you entered way more events than I did. I only entered like really a few events. You entered 6.
I did enter 6. But that said, you also have no bad losses at all. You're like the picture of consistency on the PR. You've lost to like what, Cicero,
I lose to last time I played Liberation and Hylian, I lost, and I've lost to Cicero and Mr. Mime. I think I've run into Olsey like once, and he beat me.
but it's
Once
like
or twice.
you haven't lost. So like I've lost to Turaz, I've lost to A4, I've lost to like I've definitely lost sets to, I've lost to you, right? Like you're 1-0 or 2-0 on me as well. I've lost to Tandoori. I'm 0-2 against Tandoori in tournament. I have a lot of bad losses, whereas you don't have any. That was really kind of it. Where like I entered more tournaments, I had better wins than you, but you had like no losses at all, and you had the winning record on me. So depending on how you valued like my wins versus your lack of losses and our head-to-head,
The
that's
Mr.
really
Mime win is pretty big.
I agree.
As much of a meme as it is.
As much of a meme as it
I
is.
can't even get close to Mr. Mime. I don't even understand it.
Well, I think that if I didn't beat, I think you'd be above me right now. I really do. I think that like, cause my next best win is like Hylian. I'm positive on Hylian. I'm positive on Cicero, but those are like, that's it. Hylian, Cicero, and Mime are like, me being positive on the 3 of them, I think that's ultimately it. But I also I've only played 1 set with Mime, or with, 1 set with Mime, 1 set with Hylian. There's a lot of discussion there.
Yeah,
Do we want to go to 10, or do we want to talk about you? Did we just talk about us both, or?
I would say let's just try to get through the rest of this as quick as we
We're
can.
almost there. Let's finish this. With the PR, so with Flighty, it was actually super close between Flighty and one other person. Do you want to tell everyone who that is, or?
So we had a lot of tournaments, and over the last 3 tournaments, with Hycons 2, Libverse, and the Wonder Games 5, we had a couple players really come up and start showing up a lot more. To give a quick shout out to the people who, at least I know, and I say the one that then there are a couple, I think there's one other that I thought of, and I don't know what everyone else has thought, but quick shout outs to Sokoko Puffs, who, if we had an honorable mention on this graphic, it would have been Sokoko Puffs with 2 sick runs in the last 3 events. Like, great player. Lots of he was just very clearly like Sora, or Sokoko Puffs, also known as Sora. Sora and Flighty were very, very close, and then Flashing Fire also really showed up at the last few events. Just having great runs with like very consistent placings. Ultimately, though, Flighty had the win on Sister. Flighty had, I think that was actually the big deciding factor, was that Flighty had the.
How many events did Oh, never mind. They answered the same amount of events.
Yeah, let's say same amount of events, but Flighty had the big win on Cicero, and I think that was the big thing that kind of set Flighty into the top 10 over Sokoko Puffs. But that was definitely like a very, very, that was a very I don't want to say super contentious because we didn't like have, Mime and Ulsi was the only one where everyone like kind of disagreed and we actually had to like get a tiebreaker. But like these other cases we're talking about were all just cases where
It required a little bit more discussion.
yeah, right. We just had to talk it out and make sure we knew what we were doing. But that is our top 10 using 8 tournaments, 5 Wonder Games, 2 Hycons, and a Libverse. Thank you again to Liberation. And that's season 0. I imagine it's going to be very different the next
This
few
is
months.
by no means these are not the only players you should be
Oh my
aware
God.
of. Going
Oh,
into,
there's
if you
so
haven't
many
played the
players.
game yet and you're looking forward to tomorrow, there are other people who either they just didn't participate in the tournaments as much, or due to reasons outstanding, they didn't quite make it in. There are some big names like Juanpi, for example, is in the UK. Very strong player, but he's out of town. When he comes
Pour
back,
one out.
I expect more of the same. And Tandoori is out there, very strong Raymer player. And then I don't know
Yep.
if you got any other names you can think of.
Esam, Coney,
Oh, yeah.
Hyperflame, like there are
Doesn't
some.
even need to be said.
This is not a top 10 like the top 10 players you should look out for because there's a lot of other amazing players out there. It's just I don't know if you guys knew this, but Strong Batum is the best zoo player, and he did not enter any of these tournaments. But at the end of the day, like there's a lot of really, really good players who didn't enter or didn't enter enough in like Tandoori's case, where I don't think anyone on the panel, if Tandoori entered like 5 events, I don't think anyone would doubt that he would definitely be on this list right now. But at the end of the day, like Dr. Drew, another great example of a player who could very well like be on this list, but just didn't really enter that much. The only times where a player, J-Fist is the only example of a player who didn't enter that much and still made it on, and that's because J-Fist like had staggeringly good performances at all 3 of the events he entered. Whereas like if you enter only 3 events and you have 1 or 2 even good performances, it's really hard to put that over someone with good performances over 5 or 6 events.
Yeah, so there's going to be a lot of names to watch out for, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of new names popping up too that haven't even touched the game yet. So
There's gonna be. I am ready for new surprises this weekend.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
we're gonna
I'm
see
excited.
a lot of new
Looking
people.
forward to it.
speaking of new surprises, how about
Surprise!
these patch notes?
All right.
Oh,
Do you
here
guys
we go.
do you
Now
guys
we
need
can
the link
actually
for
look at
this? Since
No, I
I
have.
already got it.
All right, good.
Already got it.
All right, so I'll kind of guide us through, and then you guys talk about it or read through on your own as we go. Sorry guys, we did not be able to prep for this, but we'll do what we can here.
We'll do our best.
So
News to us too.
yeah, first off, Shield Gust. On-grounded opponents reduced to the same knockback values as against aerial opponents. Is this something you guys noticed would be a big change based on reading this first glance?
I've definitely seen a really funny GIF of the
Oh.
knockback on Gust in certain situations.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see if it's a little less silly in those very particular scenarios. I'm hoping that's why they made this change.
This is one of the changes that I'm gonna nod my head and smile and be like, yeah, like I think that this is a good approach to dealing with it. I have no idea. Like I've seen these gifs. I've seen the gifs. I use Shield Gust, probably not as much as everyone else, but like I use it sometimes and I see kind of varying, but I'm not gonna pretend I understand like
Shield Gust is a little
yeah,
bit all of us.
honestly, but I will say that I am way more of a fan. Anything that standardizes kind of what we're expecting from Shield Gust. With something like Shield Gust, I feel like the more tuning we get, the better. I feel like that's a mechanic that's going to take some time to kind of get just right. You know what I'm saying?
Since it's like a brand new mechanic, I haven't seen anything else kind of like that in a platform fighter. It's going to be harder to feel it out and test it and like know what's really balanced, and players are going to find whole new ways to exploit that we haven't seen in any
Like
other
to
game
kill
before.
Zoo instantly, other side of the stage.
Or
We
to
all
make
saw
a
that,
shot
right?
flying
Yeah.
off the stage.
Yeah.
We've all
Like you
seen
said.
like the whoosh just into
And they're out of here.
yeah.
So up next we got Wall Bounce. Knockback reduction increased, but hit stun reduced. If I'm reading that correctly.
Yeah, I like that.
Or no, actually, they're both increased. Bad math.
No.
Hit stun reduction.
Yeah, because 0 to 33, 25 to 33, right?
It
But-
says
But
reduction.
0 reduction, so it is gonna hit
I'm
stun.
guessing it's a reduction.
Yeah,
by
yeah.
33%.
It means that
And
you're
then
not. If you hit
yeah.
the wall, you're not gonna be in hit stun as long as if you didn't hit the wall.
Right.
Which is good.
I
think that's
actually,
very good.
I love this change because specifically for the Wei Shan matchup, I've noticed a lot of times I'm terrified to challenge him low because on some stages, if I get clipped on his way up and I bounce off that wall and I'm not ready for that tech, it's like I'm dead
You're dead.
half that time or most of the
And
time.
you die it really early. Depending on the move you got hit by, you
kind of just
Yeah.
sink, especially if you're a fast faller. Like it's
Yeah.
it's more hits than you would think, at least before this patch. So maybe this will make that less weird.
I think this is going to really improve edge guarding opportunities, honestly. At first glance.
I think honestly, I think the number one thing to take away from this is that we're gonna have, regardless of like implication stuff, is we're just gonna have a lot of people like not dying at 60 or 50
Right.
for misspacing themselves by the ledge, right?
Yep.
Which happens not terribly often, but when it did, it was something that
It
always
feels
was just
bad.
kind of, it feels bad. It's just one of those like, and I think
Right.
this is a good like, this is just a good change, I think, for players across the board. I don't think it'll actually influence a crazy amount in terms of edge guarding,
Right.
because the idea was that if you did everything right, you never got stage spiked anyway, right?
Oh, right,
but
right.
ideally, you don't get stage spiked. But
Right.
now, at least, you have some kind of mitigation for it.
Right. And you feel a little more confident going down
Yeah,
deep,
exactly.
which is good.
Yeah.
So up next.
Taunts are now bound to arrow keys
Yep.
instead of the number.
God,
pad.
honestly,
So-
this is the most important change I think we can
Wait.
talk about.
You know, you can
Talk about
joke-
how frustrating it is.
Can we talk about
you
this
can
one?
joke all you want, but there are people out there who play platform fighting games with keyboards. Really good people. I don't know if they're in icons yet,
Right.
but they're out there, and I see them bring their keyboards to events. Like they
Got
plug
me
it in
there.
like their controller.
Isn't it like Windows? Doesn't Windows play with
Yeah,
keyboard?
Windows is the main one I could think of.
Yeah. Well, this one caught my eye immediately when I first pulled up this window. Taunts can now be activated while on the respawn platform.
Oh, no.
Safe BM, everybody.
Oh no.
Feel free to toss out all your thinking emojis with
Oh,
no remorse.
No.
This is
Oh,
amazing.
yes. Some of you are out there that you're going,
This-
oh yes, finally.
This is. I don't like
I
this.
can show WonderBop some
Yeah,
pineapple
mixed feelings.
pizza from the
Oh,
respawn platform now.
That's why I don't like it. It's because I know that everybody is gonna.
Meta change, dude. They
Wait, or-
balanced it.
Dude, there are two types of people. Or the type of people who will taunt whenever it's relevant. They'll do the thinking emoji.
Mhm.
They'll do the glasses, right? They'll do like the thing. And then you have players like Mr. Mime or Liberation, where they get something, they put all 4 sprays instantly across the entire stage, and they're just like, you can't escape.
Is
And
it
knowing
something
that
about
those
mitigating-
players now have access to safe taunts, I'm turning red out of rage already. I know.
I'm
I can feel
excited.
it.
And I think we should probably try to go through this probably a little more rapid fire than what we're doing.
All right,
Yeah,
but
you're right.
let's keep going.
but this one's pretty cool. This is good for doubles in tournament. Color outlines and 2v2s. That's really important.
New
Uh,
stage loading tips.
Oh,
Stage loading
that's
tips. Wait, are you
exciting.
telling me that Malu Malu
He
might
skipped
be
it a little
hit
bit.
by an ancient civilization anymore?
Or that
Oh.
I'm gonna know something else other than the Imperial family is the only one with accesses to the portal on
Well, I
Forbidden
don't
Shrine. Wow, we get to
This
learn
is
so much.
insane.
This
This is a great change, actually.
for sure. This is interesting too. I'm curious what toggle for the AI in training mode is.
To me, that sounds like the beginning of like
Like-
laying the groundwork for good features and tools in training mode.
Yeah.
I wonder, it might just be like setting the CPU to actually play versus just be a dummy, which would be nice.
That's probably
Right.
what it is.
Yeah, just set to sand or actually turn on AI. So
I
that's
saw people
that's
putting
cool.
this in chat earlier. can now spin items in the gallery using the right
That's
stick.
great. I tried to do that just out of like
Meta
reflex
You-
so much.
defining.
We can look at pineapple pizza from any angle now. It's
All right.
fantastic.
All right,
Okay.
let's not get hasty. Let's not get hasty. Every good change has a price, you guys.
Can
okay?
can we talk about this top tier edition? Are we getting 2 more unique music tracks?
Yes.
Oh
finally.
my goodness, that's
2
every
more.
single song in Icons is actually really good, and I'm so excited that we're just getting more.
I am extremely excited to hear Cryo Station. I love the aesthetic of that stage. I'm really
Same.
excited to hear that.
The client now determines some recommended quality settings based on your PC. This is really good going into open beta,
Right.
where like a lot of people are going to be
Yep.
trying the game for the first time.
Yep.
So that they can kind of guesstimate, like, okay, you have X and Y, so we'll set everything to whatever, is
Right.
very strategic in my opinion. Of like a ton of people are going to be getting in this game tomorrow.
Yeah, getting
Yep.
people into the game and not having them have to immediately back out and toggle all their settings. That's obviously just going to be great for everybody. I don't think there's any downsides there. And kind of going hand in hand with that, low spec versions of all the arenas. I think that's a great option.
That's fantastic. Oh, that's
Yeah.
great, especially for like. I know there's a lot of people with Combat Labs specifically. A lot of people like have issues with that on their computer.
Yeah.
Having low spec. When we talk about like we talk about accessible controllers, we talk about accessible net play, or, net code to make it good from anywhere. Like having low spec stages is actually so gigantic. If we're talking about like
Yeah, just pure accessibility.
just accessibility, being able to run this thing on the slowest computer possible is very important. I'm very, very happy to see this.
This is actually good for me. Because I play a lot of Overwatch actually, and I found this setting like a couple months into the game, displaying the current system time on your window. Sometimes you can just lose track of time, and I know this is going to happen to me in Icons if I don't have a
Especially
time
with
on my
the game,
window.
Yeah.
Like Icons, like any PC time sync is.
Yeah, when you're talking about just
Yep.
get a match and get a match and get a match and like now I won't be up till 4 a.m. unless I choose to. So
Nice.
that's fantastic. Every character, unique animation on holograms and voice lines. That's a cool change. I'm down for it. Give these characters more personality, which I think
that little extra touch of quality, like that makes things interesting and flavorful.
that wave dash polish. We'll coin that term now. Entering early access.
That wave dash pop.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Let's go on to bug fixes.
Yeah, let's see if we can catch anything really important here.
The first one actually is pretty big. I know I didn't actually see it until Olsey posted a GIF about it, and then as soon like literally like the next day, it happened to me.
Yeah.
Oh well.
That has happened, and I think a lot of people. I think this has happened to a lot of people, but they didn't notice it and just kind of chalked it up to like, oh, something just went
Yeah,
wrong.
I thought I was just being bad, but
Yeah, same. That's what I thought too. But like, I'm very happy to see that this is a change.
I think the second bullet point might be a direct Ulcy buff, which I'm a little scared about. Fix
I've actually.
Where-
You know what? This happens to me the most often playing against Xana. Actually, this next bug we're talking about, and I've only seen it like 2 or 3 times ever, but it is strange. It's like you get a red spike hit on somebody, and if you don't know, in this game, spikes are untechable the first time in a combo, and it results in like a red quake on the ground instead of a normal one.
Mm-hmm.
You have an opportunity to combo them, but in this situation, they would just kind of like instantly be standing as if they weren't even hit at all.
That's interesting because I thought this would be more for the kid spike where maybe it's just because it doesn't have as much hit stun or knockback as it used to. But I know now that you're more likely to get the grounded state.
Yeah,
Out of it.
this is definitely like
Right.
a big. This is a kid. This is good. This is the kid fix,
Okay.
right? Like this. I think this is
They
the kid
needed a little
fix.
bit of help after that nerf.
Well, I mean, it was just a matter of like, because the kid dare killing later, not bouncing as like, whatever. That it getting nerfed isn't a bad thing. It was just the problem was that you were having situations where it just wasn't working for some reason. And when on my stream, we actually looked at a couple, and every single one, going from hit lag to grounded state, that was a recurring theme. So I'm fairly confident this is like what we saw as Kid. Even though this does apply to all characters, I think with Kid, who uses his dare, close to the ground like that the most often,
Okay. Well, actually, it's looking like in the chat the kid fixes later in the patch notes, so this may just be
Oh,
what
never mind.
Arikie was talking
Maybe.
about. So
Okay.
looks like both might be fixed. So
The
let's.
next few bugs are all related to UI and screens.
Okay.
So if you want, we could just kind of glance over them. It's like the store screen would remain despite finding a match in quick play.
Yeah.
You can imagine that getting in the way.
Yeah.
Staying in matchmaking when entering the portal pack menu. So you think you're opening portal packs, and all of a sudden you're playing a game. Random select offline play.
This one's
that's
pretty cool
funny,
here.
Actually.
Oh yeah, that's true. Actually, I didn't even see that. But this one with the collectibles menu backing out with the B button, that actually happened to me like 5 or 6 times. And I was like, is this just something that's wrong with my Smashbox or whatever it was? So that's cool.
That
that's
happened
fixed.
to me once too.
Yeah. Okay, so I think this is all good stuff.
Cool.
Yeah, let's go on to Affy and
Moving
Galu.
on, Afi and
Character
Galu.
specific patch notes.
Here we go.
All right, Afi and Galu had a trip. They had a long 2 weeks, but now that they've taken a nap,
There's a lot of
talked
changes.
it out. Afi and Galu had a nice little talk. They were like, "Listen, like we really have to be on this. We're doing." Back air now has a 3 damage hitbox. Oh god.
Okay, so in the past,
that's
people
actually
who were
good.
a little newer to the game compared to Hylian, who is excellent at Affy and Galu, would hit me with this multi-hit back air. And the problem is, if you land during that move, it basically
does nothing.
The last hit doesn't do anything, and the other hits are not enough to make you safe.
Oh
now,
boy.
there's a landing hitbox.
This
So
is
I'm
a good change for Afi and Galu.
But a scary change for us playing against Hylian.
I am terrified.
That back air is going to be so much better now.
Back air was already so good. Oh no!
Now they can use it even
more.
more.
All right, this is exciting.
This is a big one.
This is a good change, but I'm scared.
This next one was a big one with I know a lot of the Afi Galu players were talking about how they felt about the new neutral air and how maybe it wasn't the best. How do you guys think this will impact their neutral air? You think this is
this actually is I think this is a clear reversion, right?
I think it's not a 100% reversion. Wasn't it?
For the Nair, wasn't it 45 before? I thought for the Nair, I think.
Well, no, it's going 45 to 60.
Before.
Oh,
this
I'm sorry.
patch,
wasn't it 60? Wasn't it 60 before, and then it went to 45?
Hylian's saying it's a reversion, so I would imagine he knows that.
Oh yeah, see, look, to result. It even says in the italics, we've mostly reverted their changes.
Okay.
So it looks like the neutral special,
right?
Neutral special and neutral aerial.
Right, those are definitely reversed.
I don't even remember. Yeah, but
I remember this because I know it was a 3-frame edition and they barely touched the damage, so that's definitely reverting it back. Side special, we could take a quick look at.
The bug of Galu's side special not being usable again. That straight up lost. That lost. I was watching. I do set review right on my stream. Like Hylian has lost tournament games because of that bug.
Oh.
So it's very good that they fixed it.
So
this was
that bug fix is going to be a buff.
So it looks like it's a bug fix, but everything else was reverted. That's what Hylian's saying in the chat. So.
Oh, good.
I think it's safe to trust him on that.
And I'm going to be honest. Everything being reverted with small buff to back air, like Afi and Galu, even among if you talk to Hylian, you talk to Riddell, like a lot of people would say that Afi and Galu are the weakest characters in the game, but nobody would say that they're bad.
Right.
That's the thing. Is that it's a very clear distinction. There will always be a worst character.
Well, I mean, look at the power rankings too. Every character is in the top 10.
Representation.
That's true. In
one of every single character, with the exception of Raymer, where there's 2.
And
Zurong has 2 as well.
And Ashani has 2 as well. Zoo, Ash, and Raymer all have 2. Everyone else has 1. But the thing about balancing in a game, and I'm not to say that I don't think Wave Dash. I think Wave Dash knows this, and that's why just with their changes, I feel like they have a good grasp on this. It's more important that a character, be doable and be fun. A character doesn't need to be like Afi and Galu being the weakest doesn't mean that they need to be like super crazy changed, right? I honestly think that small buffs like back air is great. Small buffs here and there is fantastic, but like Afi and Galu, there's still a way to go with those characters in the meta, and I think that the as long as when we talk about balance, we talk about like, which characters are good and bad, like it's okay to have a best character and it's okay to have a worst character. What's not okay is when a character is so bad that like certain things are just like
Right.
auto loses, right? Like when
unwinnable.
right? There's a big difference
Right.
between being bad and being the worst.
Yeah. So
Coffee and Gullo are sick, especially when you see Hylian and Riddell play.
yeah, I'm excited to see how the new back air will go with
And,
the previous kit.
We don't even know if in the long term that's going to be true. As like people develop their meta, the meta of their character. Like you have people who really push the meta, like Juan P for Raymer or Hylian Riddell for Afi and Galu.
Yeah.
That meta could go somewhere we can't even think about right now.
Yeah, definitely.
And
But,
it's important, just to kind of wrap that up, it's also important to note that Afi and Galu have some pretty crazy, like, rough matchups, like with Wei Shan, but they also do very well against Kid. They do very well against Ashani. There's like a lot of matchups. They do decently well against, they do like even-ish with Zana. Like they have like, really it's just like Zhu and Wei Shan are like the only matchups that like, maybe I don't think Raymer's that bad for them. And even those, it's just a matter of like understanding where are they weak, how weak are they in that, and it's not that bad.
Right.
I don't think.
So this touch on Kid actually I think is really exciting. That was probably my biggest complaint with Kid this entire time was the sound effects. And there's actually a small clip on the Steam page, I believe, where people could already tell that his up special was going to have a change sound effect. It sounds more like electricity building up, like he's gathering energy before he takes off. So I'm really excited to see what all these sound changes are. I think it's good.
Same.
Upping the presentation's always good. Down aerial getting increased knockback. As much as I think Kid doesn't need a buff right now, in my opinion, I still think this is good because there were a lot of awkward times where his down air would come out and you'd expect the bounce and it just didn't happen. So
this latest version we've been playing, I've definitely seen like the dare went from being incredibly oppressive and like centralizing, in my opinion, to like very like I guess he has a down air.
right.
Now
The thing is,
maybe we'll come a little closer to the middle with that.
Yeah, the thing about Kid's Dare, the nerf didn't make it like. The thing was, there was no reason to ever use it anymore. Like it didn't really extend combos that well. It didn't kill off stage very early. It just became kind of like, well, why would you down air when you can up air and try to continue the juggle, or you can like fair or back air and try to send them off stage? The reasons for daring became, and even in neutral, like where Kid's full hop dare is like one of the, it's a high risk, but it's a great reward and a great whiff punish. Then you kind of lost the utility. A lot of its utility was lost, I think, by making the base knockback 10. But 20 sounds good to me.
Yeah.
I think Kid, the fact that Kid was still amazing even with the dare nerf, like, is a sign. And this is just going to round out his already excellent kit a lot more, I think.
I agree, for sure. So let's move over to Zana real quick. Again, unique sound effects. That's super exciting.
Super good. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, that's the first thing I'm doing tomorrow is checking every character, trying all their moves, seeing what everything looks like. Seems like they're trying to emphasize avoiding low profiling, which I think is great. I think that's going to help Kid feel more fair playing against in some situations.
Yes.
I agree.
Dash attack, hitbox is going down slightly. Cool. Side strikes, hitbox are going down and bigger. That's kind of big, actually, because that move is strong, and it covers space.
So strong, but the reason it was never that scary was because it always missed.
Right. So,
but now
that's actually really, really exciting. Look at this, a pivot grab being mentioned in patch notes. That's
pivot grabs are the future.
They definitely are.
Zana's
they're not called reverse grabs.
Listen,
so
Zana's this change is just a 1 frame increase in her pivot grab duration, but like
that could be a big deal.
This is huge. Against
another way, it's double. The active frames are doubled.
Oh,
Like,
yeah, I didn't realize
that. Put it that way.
That's big.
This is especially with a slow character. against a faster character, like specifically Ashani and Kid for Zana, because Zurong is sword.
Oh wait,
But
this actually isn't doubled. This goes up by 50% increase. It was active for 2, now it's active for
yeah,
3.
it was active for 2. Yeah, okay. So this was not quite doubled
Right,
because
Okay.
frame 9 counts as
but
one frame.
but
So
still
anyway,
still a big increase.
so
right.
so but the point is that like the dash back pivot grab is such an important tool in any matchup where the character is faster than you, because you need something that can like grab them out of a nair, grab them out of their approach, or something to like deal with an overshoot in general. Because that's the struggle with a slow character, is that you can't deal with their speed. But pivot grabs are one of the best ways to do that. I'm a big fan of this change. I think it's going to help help Zana a lot against Ashani, rather.
For sure. Neutral special got a bug fix with the final hitbox. I don't know if you guys have really noticed this.
I didn't.
I didn't, so I think it's cool to just move on to the next side special. A point of contention for a
Okay.
lot of players. Grab box is repositioned to have less overlap with each other for better coverage, so she's going to hit it
Sounds
more
like-
consistently. But grab
Improvement.
grab boxes were reduced in size to account for the new lack of overlap. I'm probably just gonna have to
I'm
feel it
curious
out.
I'm curious to know what the net result of these two changes
Right.
is.
The
Right.
thing about Zana's side special is that with a lot of characters, like, so Ashani down tilt, Kid dash attack, Raymer dash attack, like, you could low profile, like, if you throwing out a normal, a lot of the times you would be able to low profile the Zana's side special just by the virtue of how the grab boxes and your hurt boxes kind of overlapped.
You could even crouch on some characters as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really want because we'd have to look at the animation, right, to like really know for sure. But if this makes it better at dealing with profiles, then honestly, that's a pretty big buff, I think.
I agree.
Makes Kid a lot easier and makes the Shani quite easier, or not super crazy easier, but I think it's very Shani.
Yeah, I'm interested to mess with Zana again, actually, because I really enjoyed my time playing with her. And then lastly, Zurong abilities have unique sound effects.
More
Yes!
unique sound effects.
I mean, it seems like such a simple thing, but that's a really cool addition. I'm really
We
excited.
have a lot of sounds. We have 2 new soundtracks and a bunch of new SFX to look forward to tomorrow.
So, for the sake of time,
Yeah, so
Wonder, is there anything you want to mention about future tournaments?
okay, yeah, let's do a quick moment.
Mhm.
Quick moment. Let's talk about what's coming up. Guys, we have so much on the horizon. Immediately tomorrow, if you want to talk about it, Arikie.
It's not tomorrow, it's Friday.
Friday.
So in NorCal, we have a place called the Folsom Street Foundry, and they do like a lot of Smash, Melee, whatever tournaments. This Friday, they're doing an event called Bonus Stage. And there was actually a little announcement about this in the Icons Discord, if you see in the hashtag tournaments channel. It's a in real life event, obviously, and you pay $5 at the door and $5 entry. It's doors open at 8, signups are at 8:15, brackets
It
at
is
9.
21. You have to be over 21. This is a just a quick reminder.
Yep. You have to be over 21 to get in, as it is a gamer bar, That is the one catch. But it's an excellent event, and a lot of my friends work there and attend regularly for a wide variety of things. I could tell you that place is like, they got Mario Kart on huge screens, all these PCs and video games everywhere, and excellent food. It's a blast.
Moving on to another tournament across the country for many people. Low Tier City 6 is in 2 weeks.
2 weeks from
weeks. Oh my
tomorrow.
god.
Or no, Friday.
Oh my god.
I
Guys,
wish I
the
could go.
very
That's
first
crazy.
the very first Icons major. I'm gonna pull up the entrance real quick. But like,
I'm curious to see that too.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be there. We have Olsey is gonna be he's the big name going there right now. But we're gonna have Tandoori's gonna be there. You're gonna have Shakes. You're gonna be there, right?
I am gonna be there.
So like, you have Dr. Drew is gonna be there. Like we have even like names like Loyal, names like A4, like people that if you hang around in the Discord, people you see often, like we have a lot of people coming out to this event. We have 39 entrants right now. Hyperflame, oh my God, Hyperflame and East will be there as well. How did I forget?
So, in case you don't know, we talked about Hyperflame just a little bit before, but he was early on in the closed beta. He was definitely like the top of the very good players. He stood out a lot, but he didn't participate in the weeklies.
Hyperflame is one of those players that had he entered the online tournaments, he probably would have done very well and probably would have been on the power rank. So like Esam, Hyperflame, Ulci, we're gonna have Sora, so Coco Puff's gonna be there. In terms of top 10 players, it's me, Ulci, and I think that's it. So Coco Puffs is 11. So Coco Puffs is
2.5.
But 2.5, something like that. But it's gonna be a really good time. Everyone should come out to that. It's gonna be sick. I know Scav is gonna be there, so you can go and say hi to Scav. And Strongbad is gonna be there as well. So we're gonna have some wave staff showing up. It's gonna be a good time. Unfortunately, I know that things like Arikie, I really can't make it actually. There's a couple of players that
it's it is what it is.
Yep.
Absolutely. But going on from that, the last future tournaments to talk about this weekend, guys, and this one, guess what? It doesn't matter where you live unless you're in Europe or anywhere that's not North America. But anywhere in North America, it doesn't even matter. We have 2 online tournaments this weekend. We have HighCons 3 on Saturday at 5:30 CDT. And on Sunday, we have the Wonder Games 6 comes back at 6 o'clock CDT. These are going to be the very first 2 tournaments of early access.
Yep.
And oh my God, isn't that exciting? This is going to be so cool.
It's going to be wild.
Online tournaments is one of the biggest selling points of Icons to me.
Absolutely.
So
and Hylian is posting the Smash GG tournament pages to the 2 events now in chat. If you are interested, free to enter. And by the way, the best way to get better at a game, period. It does not matter where you're at. The best way to improve is to compete and play against people like just so good. You need to play against better people. You need to diversify the skill levels that you play against.
And it's fun too because like just improving, you can see your results in a tangible way.
Absolutely.
So your first tournament, it's going to be hard because you're playing against other people who have probably entered that tournament more times than you have, and you're going to be unseeded. But every single time you enter, you're going to be building on what you've done before.
Absolutely. And in terms of for online tournaments, there's a lot that's going to be coming up as well later. The Wonder Games and HighCons will be very regular things. There are things in the works going forward. Guys, online tournaments are going to be so big for Icons. It's going to be such a cool way for you to, not just play the game, but, to meet the community, to make a name for yourself, not only as a player, but as a person. There's a lot of really, really cool, things going on. So please, please, please just keep an eye out for these tournaments. You can follow me at WonderBop, follow Hylian at Hylian88. You can enter the Icons main Discord. There's so many things you can do to keep track of these.
There's a whole channel in the Discord dedicated to tournaments.
Absolutely.
So
there's a tournament channel in the Discord, and there are several people who stream their own tournaments because they're the host of the tournament, like WonderBop and Hylian, for example. And on Twitter, they occasionally get announced as well.
Yep, for sure.
There we go.
So does that cover what we want to talk about tournaments? Do we want to get into a little something special?
Are we gonna finally go?
Oh, I'm excited to show this off.
Huge shout outs to Wave Dash for letting us be the exclusive little debut of this super sick announcement.
I'm really excited for this.
I have it up right now. I'm still looking at it.
Alrighty, guys.
All right.
Should we let him see it? Should we let him see it?
Do you want to read the little bit of prefacing text we have on this?
Yeah, you know what? And it's okay. I'm gonna. Here's the deal, guys. I see everyone saying character in chat. I see everyone saying character in chat. Come on, guys. Come on.
We're not that.
Listen.
We're not at that level.
Dude, come
Yep.
on.
You got it.
Come
Edgehog
on.
is now playable.
So, like, here's the deal, guys. Go ahead, and if you could show it up on the screen, Shakes, we have something brand new for you. They're charms. This is going to be a new cosmetic item going forward with starting tomorrow. This comes out tomorrow with early access. We have charms, and what charms are? These are going to display after your victory screen. After the victory screen, when you go into the, requeue, continue, quit, you're going to have choices of different things to display on that screen. There's a lot of really cool stuff here. I personally really love just the Zoorong Grimace. I love the Stabby Crab. Stabby Crab.
Oh, I was saving Stabby Crab for
Jumped it.
last. No.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
I feel
We'll
so
show him
bad.
last.
I might just...
No one will see him. Now you have to wonder what Stab Crab is.
Now everyone has to see it.
It's
But
kind of wild that a emoji meme or any other like in joke can just at a moment's notice make it into any game. It's pretty funny to me, but I'm also very entertained.
this is such a cool addition to Icons. Just another way to just customize, another way to like show off, and to just really kind of personalize everything going on. And I'm just waiting.
Is everyone ready? Is the chat ready for Stabby Crab?
Oh
there
my
he is.
God!
It's Stabby Crab.
There he is! It's Stabby Crab!
Stabby Crab.
Holy moly!
He's
We did
finally
it!
here.
We did it! This is incredible.
New top
Stabs.
tier character, Stabby Crab.
This is it. And you know what? If I play against a single person who is not using Stabby Crab, like there's gonna be hell to pay. Like this is oh my God. But
this is amazing.
and you see this, hold on real quick. I want to draw attention to the picture. We see Stabby Crab, we see some stuff, but look at the top where it says charms 221 available
Look,
charms.
Wave Dash.
Wait, is that just charms?
We need to have a
Oh
talk.
my
221
God.
charms? Are you kidding me?
Oh, like we were talking about
Every
content
single update
earlier.
is full of stuff. There's too much.
Holy crap!
But look.
221.
Why didn't they put 222? Wave Dash. You're
Wait,
killing me.
If they really care, 23 even.
One off. Come on, man.
I
Oh,
would
it's
say
gonna drive me crazy.
223 extra mile, but 222 is the bare minimum.
Yeah, exactly. Unacceptable.
Come on.
Just give me the.
Come on, guys. But hey, it's early access. They have time.
Yeah, they have
I
time.
guess.
Okay, joking
22
aside,
miles.
it's actually a mind-blowing amount of content for a game that is not even done yet.
So we're
Like,
talking.
it's
We're
still
talking
just
about.
going into open beta. Like, wow.
We're talking over 200 charms. We're talking. What is it, like 10 skins of roughly per character?
Oh,
then
yeah,
you
like-
got all the victory respawn platforms. Then you got all the emotes, which are separate from voice lines, which are separate from holograms. You got all these. There's just gonna be
You
so
have
much.
victory
Dude.
closes after the
Oh,
match.
I even forgot one trying to list them all. Like,
Real quick. I want you.
There's
Can you
so
go back
many.
to the? Can you go back to the first picture, Charms 1? with
Sure.
It's the anti-gravity like Raymer hair gel, which is also a great. By the way, a great charm. But
yes.
I just wanna-
Relatable.
okay, listen. Anyone who uses that pineapple pizza at the top left there, we're not friends.
Oh.
Anybody who uses the finger guns at the middle, or I'm sorry, the second to the very right, just next to the anti-gravity. Anybody who uses the finger guns, we're homies, dude. Ride or die. Ride or die. Just let me know. You name it, I got it for you, dude. Like this is
What if you run into someone with both? What are you gonna do?
Then you know what? That's someone's really fucking with me if that's what's going on. That's like a personal threat. Oh my God.
I feel I'm being personally attacked.
Oh
right now.
jeez. They're like,
But seriously, huge shout out to Wave Dash to trust us with an announcement when we literally had not had a show live yet. Like,
you know what? Shout outs to you guys. We've been over 100 viewers for like this entire broadcast. That's fantastic.
that's a good fan
Really
base right
glad to
there.
see that, like, the Icons community is so amazing. And if you're just tuning in and you haven't played the game, you're just wondering what's going on, like, I'm serious. The Icons community is so cool and so nice. There's so many like really, really good people
I actually
in
want
this
to touch
scene.
on that. Like coming into the icons community as like I only know a couple people who I know outside of icons who are in icons, you know, it was so easy to like just start playing people and like getting into events and start
Yeah.
talking to people and you know everyone is like very friendly and very positive with a
Yeah.
little bit of like jokes here and there. It has been almost purely a pleasure.
Look, no exaggeration. Per like percentage wise of toxicity or negativity in the community, this is absolutely the most positive community I've ever been a part of. Hands down, no question. And it's not just because we may be smaller than like the Overwatches out there with the millions of players. Like I truly think even percentage wise, this has been the greatest community to be
Yeah.
a part of. And on top of that, we have a dev team that is like waist deep in the community. They're always considering what we
They're
want,
always
what we're
there.
asking
They're
for.
always there.
They're talking with us. Like I don't know how many times I've talked to the CEO of Wavedash just in Discord casually. That's not going to happen if I go into the
Just
Overwatch
looking at,
Discord. Like
Yo,
all the
Scab's a
different-
homie.
yeah, Scav is awesome, and the fact that they trusted us to do this with we didn't reach out or do anything. They just came out to
Yeah.
us and they said, "Here you go. We trust you guys with this." So big shout outs to them.
You won't find another company with like as a like dedicated community outreach and dedicated like community support than Wavedash. Like they've all, and you know the people in Wavedash, a lot of them have come from like you know these kind of communities, and so it's really cool to see just so many particularly amazing and back a game like Icons because they do such a great job with it. So big shout outs to Wavedash. Big shout outs to everybody in the Icon scene. Y'all are all fantastic.
And
One of the things I noticed coming into the beta when I was very new was like all these different like channels and infrastructure just around getting feedback about the game. Like they had like, okay, there's in-game forms, but in case you don't want to do the in-game form, we have Google and there's a feedback channel on Discord and
yep.
and you know we're on Twitter
Or just PM
and
Pixel. That's
we're
fine.
just in just you know maybe don't blow up their DMs, but like
Yeah, don't do that.
DM all these people. It's very very accessible and like it's like a hunger for like improvement and the wave dash polish, like we said earlier, you know.
Yeah.
And I just like was wow. I see the value. I see the love. I see the dedication.
Yeah, I mean
All right.
that's even where this show came from. Was just dedication for the community. When I reached out to you guys, like I just wanted to get Icons out there and kind of spread it in whatever way possible and talk about it and kind of get involved with the community that way. So shout out to everyone for showing up. Wavedash for hooking us up with the announcement, making a sick game coming out tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow, guys. We are
Tomorrow.
Oh
We're
my
in there.
God! It's
We
like
can
it's
play-
like
It's here. It's finally here.
It's
what
so
is it? What is it? It's like 17 hours from now. We have like 17 hours until the launch. Like
15.
that's
I think 15.
15 hours. Oh, that's
Something like
so
that.
close. Okay, listen, guys. We're all right. Catch me in the arena, though. Like seriously, holy,
Same,
you're all
same.
dead. You're all dead. I love you all. You're all dead.
I'll be the
Just
gatekeeper.
face me.
If you beat me,
Face me in my realm.
when you beat me, then you could play these guys. So I'll be hanging out there just beneath.
I am open to games with as many people as I can possibly play against in a single session, and I will be on quick play as well.
Yep.
All right, you guys.
Is there anything else you want to touch
Is
on?
there anything else we gotta
the,
do?
I
Did we
think
just have
I
a-
saw at least one person they want to know when the next podcast is. Is that something you want to touch on at all?
So as of right now, nothing is set in stone. A lot of this is so kind of spur of the moment. We haven't done something like this. We didn't know what the reception was going to be like and everything. So, very shortly we will be determining our
Yes.
next show, which will likely be shortly after LTC 6, but nothing is guaranteed on that. So, if you follow us here and on Twitter, it's just The Combat Lab, one word on both. You will definitely get announcement there first. So,
Yep.
and we
Ultimately,
go ahead.
ultimately, like you know, what we care about with this podcast is making sure that we give you guys a good show. And one of the important things of having a good show is making sure a lot of things to talk about, which we had an insane amount to talk about today. So much that we ran half an hour maximum estimate. But you know, we don't. If we did this something like weekly or potentially even bi-weekly, you know, we don't want to. We want to make sure if we have enough going
bring
forward,
the value.
we want to make sure that we have enough to give you guys a good show
Right.
before we do another one.
We
If
wanna
that ends
bring
up
the value every single time.
if we get value quickly enough, right? Like if things happen fast, guys, then you're gonna see more shows. Absolutely, I think that we're all down. We've already discussed that.
Right.
But it's more important that like, you know, we make sure that this isn't just three guys talking about like, you know, is Wei Shan a fair character? Is it really just is this
That deserves its own show.
Right. And with stuff like we have top clips of the week that are being made, like there's going to be capabilities on the show to share in like the content that the community makes, and whether that be just a VOD from a really sick match that we want to talk about, or if it's top plays of the week, or if it's Emery using Raymer with no B button, whatever it may be, there's a lot of options for us to kind of cover on this. And
shout outs to just really quickly, like content creators who are in the beta and are
so
like
good.
they're grinding the game, and then they are immediately sitting down at their video editing or, you know, their meme making, whatever, Reddit, and they like a hilarious video or a combo video or something. I love that.
Yep.
And I love
Salute
to watch
you.
your stuff. Especially, I saw Zana meta-defining Zana spin. I've watched that like 12 times now.
Good.
That had me. And then Emery's Raymer video is awesome, and I'm looking forward to seeing all kinds of new content as we get more and more people.
Right.
It's great.
we got tournaments to cover, whether it be online, LTC, other potential majors down the line, and we got the option for guests. I mean, we're more than happy to have people on the show, and that's something we're looking forward to doing in the future. There's no guarantees, and no one is lined up yet or anything. There's people we want to reach out to and everything, but like,
If you are interested in showing up on the Combat Lab, be sure to DM Shakes.
Yeah, there you
And then,
don't worry, people have.
But
It's
go-
fine.
So many-
We're actually going to be making a Discord too. I have it in the works. I just want to finalize it before I release it to the public. That'll be a great spot for bringing on guests if you're interested in that. Any feedback for the show, we're definitely super interested in feedback. Please hold on to it for that Discord to come out. That will be in the coming days. Don't spam the main Icons Discord about that, or our DMs. So
all right.
we kind of got all that covered.
Just final shout outs. Go to Low Tier City. Go to bonus stage. Like seriously, enter the freaking tournaments this weekend,
If you
guys.
are
Like,
in the Bay Area, Northern California, San Francisco is right there. Folsom Street Foundry, over 21. You have to be over 21. There's an awesome tournament right there.
Yep.
there are so many opportunities. This game is built for competition. This game is built for brackets. There's so many opportunities for it.
Also,
Just so soon.
I'll say this
Do your best.
because
Come on.
A4 is bringing it up in the chat as well. While there's been no official word on anything regarding Super Smash Con, a lot of Icons people will be there, and they've had a presence there in the past. So
That's
if you're
true. There's
interested
been-
in attending that event, it may be great for you if you're interested in the game Icons Combat Arena.
The most official statement we've gotten is Jason going into the Discord and saying SmashCon will be an important event to go. You'll want to go to SmashCon if you play Icon. So SmashCon is probably going to be a really sick event as well.
Yes. So please check out these events. Support all your TOs, content creators, like we said, and just continue being awesome. This community is great, and we want to see it thrive.
All right.
And any other closing thoughts, guys? Or
Follow me at WonderBop on Twitter.
shameless self plugging.
I was definitely gonna say, like, we each have our own Twitter thing, and you can ask us questions about the show, or at least you can ask me. I'm open. I'll talk all day long. I don't care about questions. We are on the main Discord. We're on Twitch.
Yep. I'm sure we're all going to be streaming like crazy this weekend.
Yes.
WonderBop is WonderBop on Twitch. Arikie is Arikie
Arikie.
on Twitch, and I'm Shakes with 2 S's on the end on Twitch. So feel free to check any of us out. Check out all streamers for the game, honestly, and just
It's
support
gonna be
everybody.
crazy.
Yeah, it will be sick. So we will see you guys in the arena tomorrow.
Everyone have a great night. We'll catch you guys there.
All right, later.
That's it. Let's sign off.